Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is Canton412 here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another video here on my channel. This time I have a top 5 for you guys on my favorite Call of Duty zombie maps of all time. So, just to let you guys know, obviously this is my opinion, just the maps that I enjoy the most, and that's really all I have to say. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go for the first top 5 I've done in a long time. Let's just say 5 likes. You know, very easy just to get started off here. So go ahead and smash that like button if you're looking forward to more top 5s in the future. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with a few honorable mentions. In other words, maps that I really enjoy but not quite enough to make it into the top 5. And the main two that I wanted to discuss were, first off, Buried, which for me, maybe not the best map out there, but it brought me back into zombies after a bit of a slump with Moon, and then hopping back into Transit and Die Rise. Let's just say that I kind of got out of the zombies groove, and I didn't play it for a while, but after a few months or so, my friends were like, yo, you got to get back into zombies. There's some pretty good maps out now. Buried is pretty awesome. And I was like, fine, I'll try it. And let's just say I had a good time with it. It's unique, you know, guns like the Mark II, Paralyzer, you even have the time bombs on there. Leroy, he makes for interesting game mechanics, like opening up barricades. He can smash the box down so it doesn't move. He can do crazy shit with crawlers, like cradle them. And then you also have pretty cool buildables. They can be somewhat overpowered. And that's really the only reason that Buried isn't higher up, like maybe even in the top 5. It's just a little too easy to camp on that map. But still, really fun and worthy of an honorable mention. The other map I wanted to discuss right quick is Kino. I mean, it's just a classic. I've never really talked to anyone who dislikes Kino der Toten, because it's just one of those maps that you can hop into and have a good time no matter what. Whether you're a competitive zombie player or a casual player, you know, you can have a good time. And that's why I like this map, just hopping on with some friends, or going for high rounds solo, you know, whether you're training on the stage, or in Black Ops 3, you get mega gobblegums like Power Vacuum and stand out there in the alley, and you're good to go. So for that reason, Kino's just a fun map to play on, screw around on, but you can also go for high rounds, and there's some pretty cool strategies to execute there. So Kino der Toten probably be number 6 if it wasn't for the next few maps we're going to be talking about. And starting off with number 5, we have Shadows of Evil. So when Black Ops 3 first came out, Shadows of Evil wasn't that popular amongst the community. It wasn't the best map to start Black Ops 3 out, to be completely honest, because it's a pretty complex map, and for people who are just getting into zombies, it's not exactly one of the most enjoyable to play on, just because you have to do the rituals, get Pack-a-Punch open, you have to get the Apothicon Servant, there's the Fumigator and all the pods, you've got the Margwa who will probably kick your ass if you're not used to zombies. You know, it's not an easy map. And for that reason, I didn't really get into it much at the beginning of Black Ops 3 because I was still not exactly an expert at zombies. Hell, I'm not now. I've gotten a lot better since then. But anyway, at the beginning of Black Ops 3, Shadows was just a little too complex for me and a lot of other players. When you're just trying to get into the game to start with, Shadows of Evil just doesn't really do a good job at that. And I didn't really get into the map until a few months later when people were coming back to the map after a few patches and stuff. And people had gotten more used to the overall Black Ops 3 mechanics. I had a few friends who recommended me go back and try Shadows. I, of course, saw some streamers playing it. And so I decided to go back and try it out for myself. And I had a great time. Kind of like Buried, a very unique map. You have a cool setting in the middle of a city. Not really done since then. And you've also got Little Arnie's, the Margwa, Apothicon Servant, the Sword, the rituals, all that stuff make it feel very different from pretty much any other map, maybe other than Revelations, as you also have, you know, the parasites and stuff that don't appear elsewhere except on Revelations. And I feel like this map did a pretty good job at introducing a lot of the new weapons that we were going to see later on in Black Ops 3, and hell, there were a few that we didn't see until Zombie Chronicles, like the Bootlegger. So, for me, Shadows may not be a great map to start out with, but it's still a lot of fun to come back to once you've learned the ropes a bit. And for that reason, it comes in at number 5. And now, moving on to number 4, we have the Giant, or Jerice. But this map, kind of like Kino der Toten, is very simple, but it's not simple to the point where it's just bare bones, kind of like Nocturne Toten, where there's like nothing to it, or Bus Depot, you know, it's not like that. There's still some meat to it, but it's one of those maps you can just hop on, have a good time with some friends, goof off. There's still some pretty good strategies that high round players can use, such as camping and spawn room with the Wonder Waff, even some training strategies out by the power room and stuff like that. You could camp on the catwalk, which is pretty much the OG strategy of COD Zombies. I mean, that's just such a fun strategy to do with friends. You get headshots for days up there. But either way, the Giant is one of those maps that I don't think I could ever get tired of. I mean, if I played it 25 times in a row, sure, but I still love going back and playing this map. Whereas a lot of other maps, even if I like them, I very rarely have a blast when I go back to them. But no matter what, it seems like after a while without playing the Giant, when I go back into it, I really enjoy myself. And that's one thing that I feel like the Giant does better than pretty much any other map. And I just like the Wonder Waff for one. This is the map that introduced Pack-a-Punch back in the day. Well, the World at War version was of course pretty glitchy, but I didn't even play it till Black Ops 1. And I really like the Black Ops 1 version as well as the Giant from BO3. So overall, great map. Comes in at number 4. Moving down the list to number 3, we are really getting into some great maps. We have Origins. And a lot of people probably expected this to be number 1, considering the fact that on pretty much every top 5 I look at, Origins is either number 1 or 2, and I still really like it, but it didn't quite make it up that high. Still here at number 3 though, because it's a great map. There's so much to do, but none of it feels extremely tedious. There's certain tasks you have to do that can be a little bit frustrating, but overall the map is pretty enjoyable, but it keeps it interesting throughout the course of the game. You know, getting all the staffs, getting the G-Strike grenades, and hell, if you're doing the Easter eggs, there's a lot of other stuff to do in that sense. But Origins is a pretty challenging map, but I feel like it doesn't take it too far. It's still fun, but you have to get used to it before you can really make it up into the high rounds or go for the Easter egg, because you have the Panzer Soldat for one, who especially in Black Ops 3 pretty much just cucks you if you're not ready for him. And even on round 8, you probably aren't going to have too many amazing weapons, probably no Pack-a-Punch guns, and that makes this map a little frustrating at times. But overall, I still enjoy it for obvious reasons. There's so many cool weapons to use on this map. Like, even from the box, I mean, you've got the staffs, of course, but then you have the MG08, the Scorpion Evo, the Scar H. There's some really cool guns that you don't see very often. The STG as well. And Origins just does a lot of things right in terms of fan service and just making sure that players are going to have a good time on this map, whether they're alone or with friends, as there are quite a few good camping strategies to use with all the different staffs. And that's another cool thing about this map. There's a lot of variety in terms of the wonder weapons. You're not going to be stuck with the same wonder weapon each time you play the map, like on Gorod Krovi you have the Mark III pretty much every single time. And that's one thing that kind of bugs me about that map, because you have to get it from the box for one thing, and there's only one wonder weapon. Whereas you have Origins, which is pretty much the opposite. The main way you get the good weapons on this map, in other words the staffs, is by going through the upgrading processes to get the upgraded versions of them, and you'd have to do specific tasks that take, you know, a bit of skill and mastery to get to where you can do it easily every single time. Whereas on Gorod Krovi, whenever you go into the map, you just have to hope that the box is kind to you. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about Origins. It takes skill, and it rewards you for learning the ins and outs of the map. So, for that reason, Origins comes in here at number 3, just because there's so much variety in terms of the 4 different stats you can use, and the meaningful tasks and requirements that you have to learn and execute to become good, or maybe even great at the map. So Origins, very solid number 3 pick. Going on down the list to number 2, this is where shit gets real. My 1 and 2 spots are extremely close. I've gone back and forth on them for a long time, but I'm just gonna have to say that for now, Mob of the Dead comes in at number 2. Mob of the Dead is, without a doubt, a very popular map, kind of like Origins, for good reason. For starters, you are playing in Alcatraz prison, which really adds to the atmosphere and overall feel of the map. On top of that, the wonder weapon, the Blundergat, is absolutely amazing, especially once you upgrade it into either the Sweeper or the Vitrolic Withering. In that sense, you have variety, whether you go with the Acid Gat or just the regular Blundergat. And you might be thinking, well, the only way to get it is from the box. But as most of you know, there is another way to get the Blundergat. You just have to hit the blue skulls around the map with the tomahawk, which once again takes some skill to get down where all of them are, and you know, you probably just have to look it up on the internet, but still, it's not just hoping you get lucky with the box, although you can do that too. That's kind of cool with Mob of the Dead. There are 2 ways to get the wonder weapon on the map, meaning that 2 people, if you're playing co-op, can have the Blundergat at one time, which is pretty awesome. And for me, the Blundergat is easily one of my favorite wonder weapons because it's just so much fun to use. It acts as a monkey bomb when you upgrade it into the Vitrolic Withering, and it's just so powerful one way or the other that it's really fun to use. On top of that, you have some pretty cool weapons that weren't previously in Black Ops 2 Zombies, such as the Death Machine and AK-47, which are 2 weapons that I would love to see return. But still, I really enjoy using all the different weapons on this map. It's definitely one of the few maps where I honestly don't get pissed off at the box every 2 seconds, because there are quite a few good weapons that you can get out of it. But either way, I think that's one thing this map does very well. You've also got a ton of cool upgrade quests to get like the Golden Spork and do the Easter egg itself. The Hell's Retriever is absolutely badass. You've got the Zombie Shield making a triumphant return. The characters are all really interesting, especially Brutus making a great boss zombie for this map. And Mob of the Dead is just one of the most consistently fun maps, and it's really well made to say the least. I feel like the only thing I dislike about it is the fact that to do the Easter egg, you have to fly out to the bridge like multiple times. I don't really see the point in that, but building the plane in general is a lot of fun, gives you something to look to. You always have something to be doing, as all the quests feel meaningful, and I feel like the Afterlife mechanic contributes to some of these quests in a lot of cool ways. So for all those reasons, Mob of the Dead easily deserves its spot here at number 2. And with that, we are now going to be getting into my favorite zombie map of all time. What could it be? Well, believe it or not, guys, my number 1 favorite map of all time is Der Eisendrache. What else could it be? Origins is a great map, but Der Eisendrache, at least for me, takes what makes Origins fantastic and improves upon it. The bows or the staffs debate is still not exactly clear for me either. I really enjoy using both. But in terms of map layout, Der Eisendrache literally nails it. It's very easy to get from one place to the other because the map loops back into itself in a lot of inventive ways, which is further helped by things like the Wonder Sphere. And on top of that, they brought anti-gravity back, but not in the same way as they did with Moon. It's only in one portion of the map, but it still helps to add variety to the map, and that is always appreciated in my books. So, Der Eisendrache really does everything that I look for in a zombie map. It has variety in terms of the wonder weapons, there's 4 bows that you get to choose from. The Ragnaroks also make for an amazing special weapon. I think the Easter egg boss fight is pretty awesome on this map, and Papa Panzer is back. The only negative that I have towards this map is the fact that the bows are slightly unbalanced, at least in certain aspects, as the Storm Bow is probably the best, and it's one of the easiest to make, whereas the Void Bow is potentially the hardest to make, and is also the worst in a lot of situations. It's still a great weapon, but probably not quite as good as the others. So I would like to see, maybe a little bit more balancing in terms of the wonder weapons if they ever do a map like this in the future. But either way, Der Eisendrache is my favorite map in all of Call of Duty Zombies. And with that, guys, we are done with my top 5. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I would be interested to hear your thoughts on your favorite maps too, so feel free to let me know a top 5 and which maps you like most and why, because if you don't like some of the maps that I do, then, well, that's fine. It's all personal preference. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.